For some, it may create a bit of nostalgia. That satin pushpin beaded ornament, you see them there. They were a Christmas tree staple for generations. And the antique ornaments are expensive to acquire, but if you just want that look, you can achieve it for much less. Sarah Freeman is here with a DIY to create those beautiful detailed baubles with your own creative spin. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
These are kind of a stunner when you walk in the studio. You're like, ooh, look at these.
They'll catch your eye.
And is this something you remember from your childhood?
I do. I was seeing these coming up on Pinterest and I was like, I totally forgot that my grandma had a tree full of like pushpin ornaments. I still remember this little car. It was shaped like a car, but it was pins and sequins and beads, and I was kind of obsessed with it. A little pair of boots that were sequined and beaded, and it all came flashing back. I just suddenly was remembering all of these ornaments from my childhood.
Okay, you mentioned a couple things, but let's talk about supplies. What do we need to gather?
So the big thing is you need a styrofoam shape of some sort. Okay. You could also use they have these like satin balls that like it looks kind of like a thread on the outside, and that is what is very traditionally used for these.
The cording around the outside.
I personally didn't love that look. I wanted to kind of make it a little more modern. So I just went with plain styrofoam shapes. Pins are a very big thing, and not all pins are created equal, as I learned. I know. So we have a variety of pins.
Oops, I messed them all up.
You can search for them on Amazon, go into the sewing section of any store, and they have tons of different varieties. Some are longer than others, some are shorter. So it's kind of fun to add a little bit of different dimension with it. Honestly, the thing I used the most were just these little straight pins. So those are great. You'll also need sequins, which you can find at any craft store, Amazon,
and I didn't know they came in
sizes. I know, isn't that cute?
Flowers.
So there's lots of variety of sequins. You want to make sure it does have a hole in the middle, because there are sequins that they're called sequins, but they don't have the hole in the middle.
So just make sure they have a hole. But look at these. You've got holly leaves, all sorts of flowers.
You can find a whole bunch. And then you'll also want some beads. Seed beads are pretty important for this. They help hold the pin, hold your other beads and sequin onto your pin.
Okay, so some people might have some of this stuff on hand.
I actually had most of it. It's a really inexpensive craft. I mean, getting the styrofoam ball might be a little more expensive, but a lot of this you probably have at home. So
love that.
It's kind of nice, kind of cheap, very fun.
And every different shape, so that depending on if you want to make these trees like we're seeing here, that I think are the most beautiful. I really
secretly love those the most
as well. An ornament, but you say
same technique for both.
Okay.
So once you do one, you can master this technique for anything.
Okay, let's kind of show the different types of things you've made here, because we talked about these trees that are very beautiful.
These trees, one little warning, these take a very long time. They're just so detailed that they do take a long time. So I clocked a lot of Hallmark movie hours while making these, but the payoff is fun. But yes, these will be treasured now in our house.
And then also we mentioned the ornaments like you have on this tree, and so even though they're different varieties, you say it's the same technique.
Same technique, which is really, really simple, really great.
Okay, you're gonna show me.
So we'll show you here. We have a styrofoam ball for you. To make it into an ornament, you want to have a hanger or hook of some sort. And the nice thing is you can actually just pin these directly to your ball as well. So we'll use these straight pins. And you just
wrap it around.
Yep, you just wrap that into a circle shape. If I can do that real quick. This is just how you can start.
You're making a loopy-doop.
You could even just tie it, I'm going real quick, but that's
easy.
Super easy. Now this is where it starts to get fun and you can start to add variety to your ornament. You're going to kind of create a skewer of different layers of beads and sequins.
And do you recommend kind of choosing that colorway first and deciding?
I liked that. I did have a couple where I started and I just didn't like how it looked together. So I would pull them off, start over. It is very forgiving that way, which is nice. You want to start with a seed bead. This will hold everything else on that teeny little needle head. It's just so thin that you just want to, I usually just use my fingers. So start with your seed bead, then you can add a pearl. These are just shaped, and these can be acrylic. Like these are just cheapo beads. They don't have to be fancy or glass or anything nice.
Okay.
You can choose a bead. There are these fun long ones that you're
Cylinders,
using.
that's what I'm gonna
And
throw
it makes
on
it fun because it makes it sort of spiky. Like
Okay.
it kind of creates that spiky effect. And then you want to pick out a sequin.
Okay, so seed bead, something else than
Yes.
sequin.
Or you could do all seed beads, but usually you need to have that at the bottom to hold on your
It doesn't
sequin.
matter what size?
So another trick, the bigger the sequin, the faster it will go.
I like that one.
learned this after making this tiny tree. It doesn't have quite as much detail if you use larger ones, but it goes a lot faster.
Okay.
So you pick your big sequin. I ended up like kind of coming up with a technique where I'd kind of like use my fingers to hold it all in place and like hold the bottom.
Okay.
Just so you have your little, so it doesn't fall all over the place.
And then it just goes right in.
And then you just stick it in.
Doesn't matter where you start?
I usually start at the top, but just to show and make it easier to see, I'm gonna just stick it right in the middle.
Okay, so that's number one. Now
Number
we only
one.
have 500
And now
left
you
to
can
go.
So if this gets a little overwhelming, which sometimes it does, there's a little cheater thing you can do. You
I love
could
a cheat.
Put a little glue around like the parts where it's still white and sprinkle a little glitter. It'll still give the effect, like some of these over here have glitter, and you can see that like I didn't cover it entirely with the sequins. There is some glitter.
Yeah, and you did like a
can't
pattern
really
on
tell.
this one and then just filled in
Yes.
the dead space. Oh my gosh.
You can also do it with paint. Paint could also fill in. So I made a couple with some paint. I didn't love them as much, but it is a lot quicker. Also, if you're doing this with kids, the glue is a great technique too, because you maybe don't want them using tiny, tiny pins.
Good
So you can glue on sequins as well. Makes it a lot faster.
That is something we can do. Maybe stay away from the pins with the kids.
Yes,
But
don't
what
give the
a
kids
fun
the pins.
technique, and I still can't get over those trees. I'm dying
I
over those.
am really happy with how they turned out, but be prepared to watch a lot of Christmas movies.
So fun. Where can people find more ideas from you?
You can always find me on my website at apricotpolkadot.com or on Instagram at apricotpolkadot.
Thanks for teaching us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
You too. Thanks.